today's video, I'm going to be breaking down the 50-30-20 budgeting method. Now, basically, the 50-30-20 budgeting method is broken down like this. It's 50% of your take-home pay should be applied to your basic needs. 30% of your take-home pay should be applied to your basic wants, and the 20% left over is left over for savings, investing, and debt payoff. Now, the 50-30-20 budgeting method is not a bad budgeting method. At the end of this video, you'll have a full understanding of how the budgeting method works, and then using some examples, you'll be able to decide if it's good for your budget or not. Now, kind of taking a step back, this is not new. This has been around since 2006. So you see, in 2006, there was a book that came out called All Your Worth: The Ultimate Lifetime Money Plan. And it was authored by a Harvard law professor by the name of Elizabeth Warren. Yes, Senator Elizabeth Warren, her and her daughter wrote this book together. And this is where they came up with the 50-30-20 budgeting method based on how to allocate your after-tax dollars. So is this budgeting method a save-all for everyone? No, but it is very simple, and simple works. If people do simple, people have success. So if there's this many people are living paycheck to paycheck, say 80% of people are living paycheck to paycheck, the reason why they're living paycheck to paycheck, it's not because they have an income problem. It's not because they have a spending problem. They have a management problem. You see, they have no idea where their money's going. They're not living on a budget. They don't have a plan. They have no idea how much they should or should not be spending in different areas of their life. So when Elizabeth Warren and her daughter got together and came up with this book, it was a great idea because it created some kind of structure and some boundaries and a roadmap for how people should spend their after-tax dollars. Now, as you will see at the end of this video, there are some disadvantages and some advantages, and it all depends on who you are, your lifestyle, your income, and your spending habits. So by the end of this video, like I said, you'll have a full understanding of the 50-30-20 breakdown, and you'll be able to make the decision for yourself if the 50-30-20 budget is good for you. So let's just go ahead and jump into that first 50%. So half of your income, half of your take-home pay, I should say, is going to go to your basic needs. So think of the basic needs that you need in life, okay? So the needs could be your mortgage, your rent, your utilities, your car payment, your insurance, things that you must have, not the things that you want to have, things that you must have to get through each month, okay? That's going to be 50%. So what's probably one of the biggest expenses for most people when it comes to their expenses in their life, especially the needs? For most people, it's going to be probably your mortgage or your rent. So kind of a good rule of thumb is if you're setting aside 50% for your basic needs, the biggest majority of that percentage is going to be made up in your rent or your mortgage. So kind of a good rule of thumb is take 60% of your basic needs and make that the maximum for your rent or your mortgage. The reason why I like the 60% rule is it always leaves you enough wiggle room for your groceries and your utilities and all those other basic needs. So again, we'll break this down again, an example here in a minute, but 50% of your after-tax take-home pay, your after-tax dollars, should go to your basic needs. Now let's move on to the 30%. That 30% goes to your basic wants. The key word here is basic wants. So you may want to go on a trip to Bali, but that's not a basic want. A basic want are those things that don't fit inside those basic needs. So remember I said earlier, you need to pay your rent, you need to pay your mortgage, you need to keep the lights on, but do you really need a full subscription to Hulu with all the premium channels? No, that would be a want. Do you really need to go out to eat? No, that would be a want. Do you really need to go play golf every single week? No. But that would be a want. So 30% of your take-home pay now goes into those basic wants. So we're not talking about saving up and taking that trip across the world or whatever it might be. That's going to be for the later part of saving. So the biggest misconception people get when they're looking at the 50-30-20 budget is they're wrong in that 30%. The 30% wants. The key thing, it's 30% basic wants. That's your unlimited data plan on your phone, right? That's the highest speed internet available. You need internet, but you don't need the highest speed internet available, right? You need transportation, but you don't need to wash your car every single week. That's a want. Now moving on. So we talked about 50% of your take-home pay goes to your basic needs. 30% of your take-home pay goes to your basic wants. So what's the 20%? Well, the 20% left over, that's going to be your savings, your debt payoff, and your wealth building, okay? Whether you want to invest in retirement accounts or however you want to do that. So let's just use, for example, some really easy numbers. Your take-home pay, like I said earlier, let's say it's $5,000, okay? So Out of that $5,000, $2,500 is going to go to your basic needs. That's going to be things like your groceries, your utilities, your rent, your mortgage, your insurance, your car payment, basic needs, things that you must have. $1,500 of that is going to go to your basic wants. Remember we talked about going out to eat, your unlimited data plan, your high-speed internet, getting your car washed once a week. Those are going to be your basic wants. That's $1,500. So that leaves us with $1,000 left over, and that's for savings or for debt payoff or for retirement or wealth building or anything like that. Anything that has to do with savings or getting closer to savings by paying off debt. So in that situation, we're looking at $1,000. So let's plug this to some real world examples here, okay? So I got a couple real world examples. The first one we'll use is Mark and Cindy, okay? So Mark and Cindy make $110,000 a year gross annual income. So if you look at their take-home pay is closer to about $6,500 a month. So if we break that down and we do the 50-30-20 rule with Mark and Cindy, we're looking at 50% of that is $3,250. So $3,250 for their basic needs. Again, your mortgage, your rent, your utilities, your car payment, all of the basic needs in life for Mark and Cindy add up to $3,250 because it's take-home pay, okay? 30% of that's $1,950. So $1,950, that's going to be for your basic wants. I want high-speed internet. I want the best cell phone. I want the full data package. I want, whatever you want, okay, basic wants, that's going to be your 30%. They have about $1,900, $1,950 to spend on that every single month. So that leaves the 20% of the 50-30-20, which comes out to be $1,300, and that's going to be used for debt. That's going to be used for savings, maybe building an emergency fund. So in that situation, Mark and Cindy are looking at and they go, okay, so if we're going to use the 3250, the 3,250 from the 50% of our take-home pay. So kind of going back, their take-home pay was $6,500. 50% of that is $3,250. So out of that $3,250 bucket of money for basic needs, remember I told you earlier, 60% of that is the maximum you want to have when it comes to your mortgage or your rent. So in this situation, the most truly that Mark and Cindy could afford for mortgage or rent is going to be $1,950. So if they go out and they get a $1,500 mortgage or they pay $1,500 rent, they're in really good shape. If they go out and they get a $2,500 mortgage or rent, then it does not leave them enough room to pay for the basic needs in life like groceries, like your insurance, utilities, things like that. So kind of a good rule of thumb here for Mark and Cindy is if they start their life off and they look at, okay, $6,500 is our take-home pay, 50% is for basic needs. Let's take those basic needs and let's just make sure we're less than $1,950 for our mortgage or rent, and we're going to be in really good shape. Okay, they can live another day, because they have money left over to pay for the basic needs. Again, then 30% goes to their basic wants and 20% used for debt payoff, savings, maybe going on a big vacation at the end of the year, retirement investing, or whatever it might be. All right, so we just used a really good example of a married couple. Now I want to use a single named Mandy who just graduated college, and she graduates college with some student loan debt, but she lands a great job at $65,000 a year. So if you look at her take-home pay, that's $3,800 per month. Okay, so we take that $3,800 per month, and that's the number we're going to work from. So out of that $3,800 per month, let's take 50% of it for our basic needs. So 50% means $1,900 is used for her basic needs. 30% of that, $1,140, is going to be for her basic wants, and then the leftover 20%, or $760, is going to be used for savings, for debt payoff, and things like that. So in Mandy's situation, half of her money, $1,900 that she has to spend, has to all be used for basic needs. So this tells us that if it's $1,900, Mandy can't go out and get an $1,800 rent or mortgage because she's not going to have enough money for the rest of her basic needs, like groceries, like putting gas in her car, insurance, and things like that. So she would look at this, and it might be wise for her to look at in the $1,000 to $1,100 range for her basic needs for her mortgage, because that leaves her plenty of money left over for groceries and utilities and all those types of things. Now, her basic wants, $1,140, that's going to be for her, unlimited cell phone plan. That's going to be whatever it might be, shopping, things like that, just kind of basic wants that don't fall into your needs category. So 20% of that, $760, that's what she has left over to throw at her student loan, to build her emergency fund, or to throw at after-tax investments or kind of savings. Maybe she wants to take a trip, something like that. So that just kind of shows you how it breaks down. So maybe you're married and you're watching this and you're like, I'm more like Mark and Cindy, or maybe you're watching this and you're thinking, oh, I can kind of relate to Mandy's situation. Now here's where I don't love the 50-30-20 rule, okay? So it doesn't work for everyone, okay? It doesn't work for very high income earners and it doesn't work for very low income earners. And the reason why is the percentages just don't work out when you start getting in those ranges. So let's look at somebody with a very, very high income, for example. So let's say you make $700,000 a year, okay? So if you make $700,000 a year, let's just say your take-home pay is roughly $33,000 a month. Okay, so if we take half of that, it's close to $17,000. So we're saying your basic needs is $17,000 a month. If we take 20% of that, that's roughly $6,500. We're only saving $6,500, but we're putting close to $17,000 away for basic needs like your rent, your mortgage. That's a little bit flip-flopped. It doesn't work well with high income earners. As you can see, high income earners wouldn't be okay with only saving 20% when they have such a high income. Now, on the flip side of that, a very low income earner, they might not be able to get by with 50% of their income. Let's just say, for example, their take-home pay is $2,000 per month. Okay, so if your take-home pay is $2,000 per month, that's $500 per week. And let's just say we use 50% of that as a rule of thumb using the 50-30-20 budget. If we use 50% of that, that means our basic needs all have to lie within $1,000. Well, it's gonna be really hard in today's day and age to pay for rent or a mortgage and groceries and utilities and all the other basic needs with only $1,000 per month. So the percentages would not work out well in that situation. And lastly, I'm just not a big fan of only throwing 20% at our debt. When you're getting out of debt, it's not 20%, it's everything you possibly can throw at your debt to get out of debt as quickly as possible. You see, debt is holding you back. Debt slows you down. Debt removes the opportunity for you to go out and build wealth because the money that you be throwing at wealth is instead getting moved towards debt. It's getting moved in the form of debt payments. So the longer you wait in debt, the longer you remain in debt, that's giving up the opportunity to truly build wealth. So I don't like the idea of only throwing 20% at your debt. It's as much as you possibly can. I would hate to be out there, putting 30% towards my wants when I know I could be putting more towards my debt. So I'm just not a big fan of that aspect of it right there. So as you can see, the 50-30-20 budgeting method, it works. It does work, doesn't work for everybody. If you're a high income earner, I don't recommend it. If you're a low income earner, I don't recommend it. But if you're somewhere in between and you're new to budgeting and you're looking for something as simple as possible, then yeah, the 50-30-20 budget is not a bad method to use. Now, can you use this in conjunction with some kind of budgeting tool? Absolutely. I want you guys to head on over after this video to the 7 steps to create a budget video that we have together. It'll walk you step by step on how to actually set up your budget. And you can take the 50-30-20 budgeting method and apply it to your budgeting tool because what gets measured gets managed. So if you're wondering, okay, when I set up my budget, how much should I be putting towards my wants, my needs, and my savings? There you go. You can use the 50-30-20 budget if it works for you. So make sure you check out the video, 7 steps to creating a budget. I promise you it's super simple. It'll walk you step by step, and there's even a link there so you can grab all of our budgeting templates. They're completely free and you can get started using those today. And guys, if you like this video, go ahead and give me a like, subscribe to the channel. We're gonna create more and more videos like this because I wanna help you create a budget, I wanna help you save more money, and I wanna help you get out of debt. We'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.